So a bankruptcy attorney walks into a bar. What's the one story that they would tell? Listen up.
I probably shouldn't tell this, but it's freaking awesome. I had a discharge on a Chapter 7 when no 341 meeting was held. And it was just a nutty outcome. But what had happened is that client had about $5,000 that had been taken from her on a tax refund because of a student loan payment. She appealed after the case was filed to get that money back because she's going to be out on the street. And she got the money back post-filing. So she didn't go to the 341 meeting. Trustee was pretty upset about that. Where is your client? I got to talk to her, want to question her. Nothing ever came of it. About 3 months later, he filed a notice of no distribution. And so I just had her file the second course. She got a discharge. Trustee was happy, apparently. She got a discharge with no 341 appearance.
People come with a gun to my office. One lawyer got shot after he took my case. There's some crazy people out there, and I've had people threaten to come get me. I could go on. There's not one horror story, there's plenty of them.
One story I would tell is a pretty crazy story of a client that I had who did not show up for court and did not call us. I sent over my legal assistant to the house to find out what went on. And there was a gentleman at the stoop who had a relationship with the woman. And as it turned out, that gentleman, to make it simple, off my client and was on America's Most Wanted list until he was found at a shelter in New York and was put away for life.
It's very rare that you would see me in a bar, but one story that comes to mind is an older gentleman. He was in his 60s. He was a dump truck driver, and he took dump truck loads as a 1099. And I was surprised to find out how valued dump trucks were. And I consider this one of my greatest successes, is that I was able to stare down the trustee, Chapter 7 trustee, so that they wouldn't sell this man's only asset and allow for him to continue to use it and continue to operate at least his small business.
I had some clients who failed to disclose some rather significant assets to me, and boy, did it come back to bite them later. Gosh, we have so many of them, but I was just telling one the other day about somebody who was running an Airbnb out of a house that they claimed to have lived in. And the trustee went online and started finding all the Airbnb pictures of all the assets that were in the house that she hadn't claimed on her bankruptcy petition. There's artwork and sculptures and all kinds of things of value, in addition to the Airbnb income that she didn't disclose. Just when clients are dishonest and don't tell you about things and you find out about them later, those are the worst cases.
I had a debtor try to start a business. They had some investors. They went south. They filed bankruptcy. The investor thought that the debtor walked away with $500,000. Didn't. All that went into starting this business, and they filed an adversary proceeding. And the client was afraid that they were going to be burdened and stuck with this $500,000 debt. And we won. We got the case dismissed. And I tell that story all the time. And the best feeling was being able to tell him that the case was dismissed and that we won and it was going to be zero. And I think it changed. I hope it changed his life.
The thing that shocked me was when we were sitting down preparing a Chapter 7 client who forgot to tell us until we were pretty far along in the process that they were the beneficiary of a $5 million trust. And so, needless to say, that case didn't get filed. It didn't go too long. So, yeah.
I would tell them the story about this completely hopeless Chapter 11 case that I'm currently in, that somehow I managed to get the judge to not list stay against my client when he had absolutely every reason to do so. It's one of the craziest cases I've ever been involved in.
So I do a lot of litigation against creditors. I had one client who was in the middle of a sales call, got a call from his car company saying, "We're about to repossess your vehicle." And I immediately, once I heard about that, filed a lawsuit, and my client got $15,000 in his pocket for one phone call threatening to repossess his vehicle.
Actually, the biggest case that I've been involved in was a individual Chapter 11 case, and the debtor came out of the bankruptcy, and he still had a a net worth of about $2 million.
I don't have my snakeskin boots on today. While I was going to court, I'd walk in and people say, "Is that really rattlesnake I says, "Absolutely. I know it is. I skinned it directly off a creditor's attorney."
I'd probably tell them the time I was specially preparing for someone else, very nice couple, and I was admiring the man's watch, and I said, "That's a beautiful watch." And he said, "Oh, it's fake." And I looked through their schedules, and this is before the trustee meeting, and this is when we did them in person, and I said it before. I said, "Oh, oh, that's such a beautiful watch. It's the kind of watch I've always wanted, which is a Rolex Submariner with a ceramic dial, blue, just a beautiful watch." And his wife said in a very quiet voice, "It's real." And I said, "Okay, this is what we're going to do. You're going to take the watch off. You're going to put it in your pocket. And as soon as we sit down, the first thing we're going to say to the trustee is, we have an amendment. We're going to list this and completely protect it." So it was a way to have him keep the watch and follow all the rules. And everybody won.
Oh, Miss Lula. It was a live stay hearing. Miss Lula fainted. I caught Miss Lula in my arms, and they continued the case, and she saved her house.
I'm working with a gentleman who had a business that failed, and he's been suicidal. Let's put it that way. The joy and the relief that he received after talking to me about being able to wipe out all of that business debt was just, it just made me feel so good that I could make such an impact on somebody in a positive way, right?
Thank you for those who participated in this sort of more light and funny video. If you got a story, post it below, hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like a private bankruptcy strategy call on how to build your business, we're here for you. Click the link below. Have a great day.